as Rogers Toronto Cable 10 presents the Toronto Italia NSL Game of the Week.
Good evening and welcome to Centennial Stadium in Etobicoke for tonight's National Soccer League Cup game between Toronto Italia and Friuli. I'm Randy Andrechu. Friuli has yet to play in either Cup or League action in this NSL season. Meanwhile, Toronto Italia has gotten their season off on the right cleat with a 6-1 win over America United. They followed that with a 3-1 win over London City. And now with more on tonight's match, let's go to game announcers Ben Knight, Renato Ciolfi, and Keith Pendowski.
Okay, Randy, thank you very much. Toronto Italia debuted an exciting new style of soccer for the club last week, and Renato Ciolfi had worked really well for them.
Yes, and they're all quite excited about it. They really plan to go with those 3 strikers up front, always ready to hit the net, and those backs that are coming up and pushing forward. So we have lots of exciting and different type of soccer that we've seen in Canada.
Tonight's opponents are the second division club Friuli. They're a new team in the league, and Keith Pendowski joins us now. Keith, what should we look for from this team?
Well, Friuli, this is their first league game or cup game this year, 1990. And we're going to see an exciting game because Friuli is looking forward to playing the last year's champions. And if you could get up for a team, this is a team you get up for.
Around the world, soccer cup competitions have seen teams from lower divisions rise up and play great games against defending league champions like Italia. We'll see if that happens tonight. Back to you, Randy.
Thank you, Ben. With me now, Rocco LaFranco, the commissioner of the National Soccer League. Rocco, I know you're excited. We've got 3 new teams in the NSL this year, 2 in the first division and 1 in the second.
Yes, we do have London City and Oshawa, Italia in the first, and we have also Woodbridge in the second division, Toronto Jets. And this year we will have 7 in the second and 9 in the first. Originally, it was supposed to have 10 and 8, but some of the clubs didn't give us enough guarantees, therefore we didn't accept them. It was a financial problem.
Now 9 and 7, 9 teams in the first division, 7 in the second, is something of an unusual setup. Do you foresee problems throughout the course of the year?
Not at all, because it worked out beautifully with the Cup, because we have divided the 16 teams into the Cup system, the NSL Cup system, in 4 groups, so 4 teams in each group, which totals 16 clubs. It worked out really beautifully.
Now, something that the NSL has adopted this year as well for the first time is a promotion-relegation system.
Exactly. 2 teams will go up and 2 teams will go down. And we hope that by 1991 we will have also the C division. Now we're really going to have the really structures in Ontario.
Now, Rocco, you are the commissioner, and I know you try to keep an unbiased view of the league. But just before we let you go, we've got to have a prediction from you. Who do you like in the first division?
Well, I think Windsor is a good team, Croatia is a good team, First Portuguese is a good team, St. Catherine is a good team. There are quite a few good teams, actually. The soccer games this year will be really a big battles among 5-6 teams.
Rocco, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck presiding over the league this year.
Pleasure, thank you.
Now let's go back upstairs to Ben, Renato, and Keith for the team lineups.
All right, here's a look at the starting lineups for tonight's game. And Renato, we have a new player for Italia in the number 3 shirt.
Yes, it's Luis Lusquez. He just arrived from Argentina a couple of days ago, and as a matter of fact, he played his last game in first division with Boca Juniors last Saturday.
We'll be watching him. Keith, take a look now at this Friuli lineup and give us a couple of players to watch out for.
Well, this Salvatore Romaldo seems to be a player to be watching. He plays in midfield, but I've got him playing number 5 today. So he's an exciting player. He's been with Friuli for a few years, and he's out of the Cabbagetown, old Cabbagetown youth organization. And another player is Mauro Angaro. He's an exciting player. He's playing up at the front on the wing, and he's another exciting player to be watching tonight.
All right, there you have it. Players to watch for in tonight's game. We'll be right back with the kickoff.
Promotional considerations for this telecast have been provided by Corriere Canadese, Canada's first English-Italian daily newspaper and a voice for Southern Ontario's 650,000 Canadian Italians. This summer, Corriere Canadese features exclusive coverage of Italia 90. All the action, the excitement, the scores, highlights, and interviews in your World Cup News Center. Corriere Canadese, the newspaper for Canadians who take pride in their heritage.
Toronto Italia Soccer is sponsored in part by Ignacio Di Maria, president of Di Maria City Food at 1541 Jane Street and the Rio Banquet Hall at 2201 Finch Avenue West. Phone 741-9672 for any occasion, wedding, or ceremony. Ignacio Di Maria is pleased to support these telecasts and proud to support the Toronto Italia Soccer Club.
The referee for tonight's NSL Cup match is George Botek. The linesmen are Salvatore Cancelli and Enrico Bergoa. Friuli will start the game in the black and white stripes and the white shorts, playing from left to right. And Italia in the blue shirts and white shorts playing from right to left. We don't know what to expect from Friuli. This is their first game out. And now right away, Carmen Groh steals it, looses it on the sideline.
I was just talking with the coaching staff of Friuli before the game, and they're looking forward to playing a very tight sort of middle-of-the-field ball control type of game. And I don't know, maybe if Keith picked up the same type of information.
Yeah, more or less. Actually, the coach isn't here today. Coaching Friuli today is the GM, Lorenzo Buffon. So the coach is not here, but he's taking over for him.
There's the first touch for Luis Luquez, the new player for Italia, and he's rather rudely fouled there by Salvati. Number 5 for Friuli. Yakimovsky gets set back up here for a kick, and Severio Valente in the 12 shirt this week thumps one to the far side looking for Groh. Found open space. Nedev tried to run onto it. No play there, and it goes out just in front of the Friuli bench. And it'll be number 3, Derek Buffa, to start play up for the second division side.
And one change that we can notice right away from Italia from the first game, it's Ben, that Titus has moved up to the midfield.
There's a good ball for Groh on the side, and it's run out of bounds by Guido Geisler, number 6 for Friuli.
As you remember, Titus was playing really in the deep defense in the first game, and now he's moved up to his last year's position.
Keith, Friuli here, the new team, and they're up against the two-time champions. Do you see anything early on that would indicate the type of game that they're going to play here tonight?
They get really cautious. Toronto Italia is a very explosive team, and kind of played cautious the first few minutes anyway.
And it's back now to Hollis Fifth, the goaltender for Friuli. He looks for the throw. Lays it off now to one of his defenders. Friuli not really playing anybody forward there. Bunching up the midfield, and Italia break it right back. And it's played back to Fifth. Now the furthest player forward there, Keith, was Arcady, and he was just slightly over center. Does that mean the Friuli are going to try to play it even in the midfield before they try to attack?
Well, they're going to get themselves in trouble if they're going to play in their own third, because with Italia, they're very explosive, and they'll finish everything that they're going to get.
This is Luquez now, looking for room there. He's got help, and Tony Movrin.
You know, Friuli is a very young team and basically made up of all local talents, and this is their big chance, really.
Well, certainly this year the NSL Cup designed to spotlight the efforts of the teams in the second division. And now number 4, Alexander Nedev. Back to Dragan Yakimovsky, who scored a beautiful goal to open the scoring last week for Italia in their 6-1 win over America United.
And he must have enjoyed it so much that he came back and he scored the second one.
This guy loves scoring goals. Ilio Garo. Played up now to Luquez. Luquez taking his time. They're giving him lots of room in the center there. Played back for Garo. Slow build-up now for Italia as Yakimovsky leaves them across center. Carmen Groh. And again, we see this one-touch style of soccer that Italia are favoring this year under coach Rubino Campolo. There's a ball for Groh on the wing. He's rather roughly handled there by Derek Buffa. And it'll be Alexander Nedev forward to take the kick. Nedev, good cross in the center there, headed away. Friuli thumped the ball back into the middle. And referee George Botek blows the whistle there, calling a foul on Ilio Garo. Now Friuli trying to find something here, but Valente comes up with it. This is number 10, Arcady for Friuli. We have played about 5 minutes here, just getting underway. Toronto Italia versus Friuli in the first round robin of the National Soccer League Cup for 1990. And now Carmen Gross springs himself free on the far side. He's got help in the center. Can't get it there. The ball comes across, booted off the line. Salguero tries to turn on it. Friuli playing 3 or 4 men on the ball now as Titus tries to find an opening. Grow fakes Palazzo, and it comes into the center, and Salvati comes back with it for Friuli. Thumping ahead, good anticipation there by Garo for Italia, and he brings the ball back across center.
And there we see the switch that we were just mentioning. Titus has moved way up in the midfield, and Garo has taken his position down with the new arrived.
And Hollis Fifth takes that. Now, Keith, Italia are playing a very much a one-touch style of game, a lot of quick passes that are difficult to anticipate. What kind of a strain is that going to put on the Friuli defense?
Well, they're filling each other out, actually. Short passes is one thing, but when you play against a team like you're playing tonight, you really don't know nothing about them. So give it a few more minutes, and we'll see some exciting soccer, I'm sure.
There are a total of 16 teams in the first and second division of the NSL, and they have been divided into 4 divisions. They'll play a double round robin for the Cup, and the first and second place teams will be involved then in the quarterfinals. So there's lots of soccer to go on in the Cup competition. This is really a league within a league. The games do not count in the regular league standings, but they do certainly count towards deciding the Cup. And in the last 2 years, this trophy has been won by Toronto, Croatia, Italia's arch rivals. Italia have won the league both years. Croatia have won the Cup. That was number 7 on Garo, playing it back to Hollis Fifth in goal for Friuli.
Yeah, they're playing extremely tight, really one-on-one, both teams, and they're really filling each other out right now.
Fifth now trying it up the left side. Italia rather easily contained that, and Yakimovsky finds Titus in the center. He flips one back to Ilio Garo. And that's the second time we've seen Luquez lose his footing out there. The grass looks smooth, but the ground underneath it is still quite hard and quite rough, and there are a couple of rather treacherous bare spots in the Friuli end right now. So we may see some players lose their footing. Knocked out of bounds by John Vian for Friuli.
You know, this is considering this is the first game that Friuli is playing. They're really, sort of trying to find each other out. So a lot of mistakes will happen during these first 20 minutes of a game.
And we have seen at Italia there as Luquez is fouled by Salvati. We have seen at Italia a team that can spend most of the first half sizing an opponent up and then be very explosive in the second half. That's certainly what happened last week against America United. Yakimovsky now. Up to Titus. Titus playing far forward now. A searching shot. And there wasn't really... I'm puzzled, Renato. You see them do the one-touch build-up, and then you see Titus just launch one over the bar from 35 yards.
I think both teams are basically sort of looking at each other and sort of studying each other's move, and maybe, Keith, that's the same feeling that you got?
I do, but Toronto Italia is trying to penetrate with short passes. Now they've tried with a long shot, and what Friuli is doing is almost like a bunker style. I mean, you're going to get yourself in trouble like this. You're not going to keep this up for 90 minutes, I'm sure.
I've also noticed that Friuli sometimes tend to try to get 2 or 3 men on the ball, and if Italia get this fast pass game working, they're going to be stranded.
Exactly, exactly. Well, you try the short passes, it doesn't work. Try some long ones, but the long passes or crosses, you got to win those 50-50 high balls.
This is Toronto Italia NSL Soccer on Rogers Toronto. I'm Ben Knight with Renato Ciolfi and our very special guest tonight, Keith Pandowski, bringing you all the action from this exciting cup match between Italia and Friuli.
Even on that goal kick from Fife, you saw the long kick and no challenge on the high ball. Rick Titus cleanly goes up by himself. No challenge whatsoever from Friuli.
Meanwhile, Louis Luquez is continuing to have a rough first half. He's hit the ground about 4 times tonight. Twice the turf, and twice he's been knocked down by Friuli players.
I'm just wondering also how Friuli is going to keep it up playing man-to-man with a very explosive Italia forward line.
Ball falls for Vian. Headed on by Arcady, and that's the first touch for Juan Farina, the young rookie Italia goaltender. Looked a little shaky last week against America United.
And there's Titus back to his old tricks from last year.
But Italia responded in the second half of that game by scoring 5 goals and limiting. I think Farina only had to make 1 save in the entire second half, and it was not a difficult one. So they can protect each other on a night when somebody's not playing well. Bovrin.
I'm just wondering, Keith, if Friuli is following the best tactical move by just keeping one isolated forward and leaving a big hole there in the center field.
Well, they better have some speedsters on the outside if you're going to play that kind of a style. With one striker against the defense of Italia, you're not going to get through, that's for sure.
But gentlemen, it's academic if the other 10 men can't get the ball up over center. Now here come Friuli, and again, Italia blocking up in the middle, and Friuli having a heck of a time getting the ball out of their own end. Salguero to Luquez. Luquez now finding room, and a nice save there by Fifth, and the Friuli defense just parted and let him right through.
And the Lucas has really been impressive for the first 10 minutes, considering this is the first taste of Canadian soccer that he's had.
Well, when you get fullbacks like Nerev and the new chap, and
here's the replay coming up, and we can see him walking up, and there's a shot, and the goalie just manages to touch it above the goalpost.
And you can see just before that, the Friuli defense just opened right up and gave him that avenue to shoot, and a good fullback will take that shot if it's given to him. And now Nedev, again frustrating Friuli's attempt to get over center, gives it to Jordanovsky. Jordanovsky tries to play a long give and go with Nedev there. It's knocked out of bounds, and it's going to be another corner kick for Italia, and I think it's safe to say.
On the replay that we saw, that fullback come up, got a shot away. It's simply, when the fullback plays a double winger, I mean, somebody's got to be coming back with him, and nobody did. And that's going to be trouble. That's going to be trouble.
And once again, we see Salguero setting up for a corner kick, and gentlemen, I think it's safe to say Italia with a territorial advantage up to this point. That's headed away nicely there by Fernando Palazzo. Jordanovsky on the edge of the box now, puts a fake, and they've got 4 men watching him. Over now for Luquez, or rather to Garo. Garo in the center, good ball for Salguero. 2 defenders on him, loops it the other way off the post. It's sitting there and brilliantly cleared by Nick Greco. And the number 13, that was a very poised piece of defense there, Keith.
Well,
it was also a suicide move.
Here we go again. Here we go again. Friuli's not playing zone defense or man-to-man. I don't know what they're playing.
Just as we were showing the replay there, here it comes now. And this ball, a very, very dangerous shot from Salguero.
I think the ball actually came off the Friuli defender and it hit the goalpost, and he just completely put out of whack his own goalie.
While we had the replay on, the ball fell for Luquez, and again a big opening in the defense. And he hit the side of the net with his shot.
What I'm surprised most about, Keith, is the fact that Friuli is trying to build a dam, but it's doing it only 20 yards away from its own net instead of about 20 yards forward.
Exactly. I mean, you're trying to get the ball out of your own zone, but when you play in your own zone, you're going to get yourself in trouble, especially when you start losing those balls in your own third.
Salguero dribbles through about 4 players, and it fell back there for Jordanovsky. But gentlemen, I'm thinking back to last year, and St. Catharines Roma came in here in a cup match, and they basically set up a style to completely frustrate Italia. They got a goalless draw out of it, and frankly, they were playing a lot worse than Friuli. As Friuli look like they have a definite plan as to what they're going to do, and they're holding it together as best they can.
But I think what St. Catharines did last year, though, was that they were doing it more on the center field, in the middle of the pitch. Friuli is moving too much back.
Exactly.
Now Salguero again. The ball just ran out of bounds there, and it'll be a much-needed goal kick as Hollis Fifth can step up and try to take some pressure off of this game. The point is very well taken, that you have to, if you're not going to play people forward, you have to contain the game up in the midfield and not play it all in your own penalty area.
No challenge on those high balls whatsoever.
But then again, we are dealing with a much less experienced team, and certainly Friuli haven't had the chance to play together as much as Italia.
This is the first game.
This is in fact their first game ever. And the offside given there as Arcady got through, and of course Italia are quite canny at keeping that back line straight and setting up the offside.
Also, Italia's defense, I think, looks much more stable tonight with the new arrival of Lusquez.
There's a good ball ahead for Santo Cesario, and that would have been his touch. We have number 17, Tony Movrin, down now. Seems to have hurt his knee in the collision.
I think he basically just went down and he just hit his knee with a full impact right on his kneecap, and that can be a very dangerous type of injury. We hope that it's not the case, but...
Well, you see right away, and now we're getting word from the side that we're starting to get a little rain here. It was a beautiful day this afternoon in Toronto, and now it's getting a little rainy.
And
you see there now the fans, as they do on rainy days here, try to move up in back of the press box.
The rain has really been playing havoc with the whole schedule of the National Soccer League for the beginning of the season.
Keith Movrin is going off. Are they going to substitute him?
Or is it Movrin or it's 11?
I have Movrin wearing number 17.
Is that 17 or 11?
That's 17 Movrin.
He looks hurt.
And yes, they number 8, Giancarlo Lista, is taking off the sweats, and I believe he's going to come into the game for Movrin. So Movrin is out of the game with a knee injury, and Lista, number 8, will come in and take his place. As the game resumes.
And Valente just hit the last man on that line.
And this is Arcadi, Joe Arcadi, trying to play it ahead to his teammate Salvati.
And Italia's defense, it's playing much more confident tonight than the previous nights. I think the changeover with Titus and the introduction of Lusquez has really given beneficial effects. You know, maybe you should mention that this is Italia's 3rd game of the season. They played in London against London City last week, and they won 3-1. And what's been most impressive by Toronto Italia is sort of the eclectic type of strikers that they have. They have 4 people with 2 goals each.
I was in the area of London last week and picked up with a newspaper, and there was quite a bit of coverage of London City, which is always good to see. And certainly good to welcome London back to the National Soccer League after too many years. Dragan Yakimovsky plays one for Titus. Titus, his choice, goes for Carmen Groh. Good challenge there by Buffa.
And every time Titus is given so much time to line up, and you get a very dangerous pass.
Speaking of dangerous, Salguero. Back to Groh, good cross. It's a little high there for Cesario. And Friuli. And again, we see Friuli, when they try to force their way across center, they're having to do it almost desperation runs on the ball. They're moving the ball very quickly and not really having a chance to set anything up.
Well, they're not really playing with the wings. Here we go. Here's in the midfield, but they got to open them up. The tighter you play Toronto Italia, the easier it's going to be for them. So.
And there's a good ball for Groh. He's in a foot race now and gets taken down by Derek Buffa. I thought Buffa did well to stay with Groh there. Groh very speedy.
You know, I think that right now the Friuli counterattack is almost a contradiction in terms, because whenever they break out, they don't have 2 against 1, but it's vice versa. They have 3 Italian defenders against 1 forward. And
exactly.
We are just about 20 minutes in here. There is no score between Friuli and Toronto Italia. Ongaro for Friuli, and it comes back to Yakimovsky. Dragan Yakimovsky working his way forward. Italia favoring the right side in the early going here. Back to Titus. He's got Valente running in the middle. Good ball through, broken up there, as Luquez tried to scoot in behind the defense. This is Valente. splendid game against America United last week.
He's back at it now, too.
And Italia is choosing at this point, gentlemen, it seems, to run in the middle, find somebody open and just hit them with a long ball. More reminiscent of the way they played last year.
Well, I don't know if Keith agrees with it or not, but I think that Italia is basically sort of having some difficulty in trying to figure out a way through it because Friuli is playing such an awkward type of defense.
Exactly. Well, like I mentioned earlier, this is what you call a bunker style. You know, man on man, and you're playing in your own half, and don't let them get in around the 18-yard line.
The old Edmonton Drillers, 11 men in the penalty area.
But this is going to get you in trouble,
yeah.
Ben. This is going to get you in trouble. Especially if you start attacking with the fullbacks, double wingers on the outside, you'll just...
Now Valente. And Italia taking it in turns as to who runs down the right wing there. We've seen quite a bit of Carmen Grow there.
And I think all this, you know, energy that's needed for this type of defense is going to tell in the second half.
Oh, no question there, Ronaldo.
And also, what happens if Italia break through and score? Then Friuli have got to alter that plan. Now, here is Arcadi, who's basically been the only person that Friuli have had forward.
But see, that was the perfect indication of what we were saying. Arcadi got the ball, and he had 3 Italia defenders there.
There's no support for his own teammates. Nobody's following with him.
Salguero. His teammates calling for the ball. Here's Cesario. But of course, while they're doing that, and not supporting the man forward, that does give them luxury of playing 2 or 3 men on the ball back in their own defensive end.
Yeah, but the whole idea is quite a bit of room between the striker and the fullbacks. I mean, you got to have your midfield. I mean, you got to establish your midfield, especially when you're playing your own zone.
Certainly, any time in this game that the ball's gone into the middle, Italia have had no problem controlling it.
Well, if Fury plays this kind of style 90 minutes, I think we're going to take a bet here. How long would it be before they get a goal, shot on goal on Italia?
Well, Yakumovsky, a rare mishit for him. And Friuli now with men forward. But Rick Titus has the ball.
And you see how much territory Rick Titus is covering on that center field.
And if you want to put men forward, you got to have the ball. Carmen Grow. And the ball looked like it took an awkward bounce there on the side. Grow had it lined up, and
I don't know, Ronaldo. I think Rick Titus is playing his old position from last year, which is midfield stopper.
That's
in
right.
front of Yakimovsky. So that's his position. There's no question. He'll win all the high balls, and on the ground, he's tough as a rock.
He's just phenomenal in that position there. And
Exactly.
comes back now to Jordanovsky. And that is Rick Titus.
Look at where the fullback of Italia is playing. Look at the fullback. Look.
There he is. Lucas, number 3, plays it. And again, it just got lost in a maze of Friuli legs there.
I think Salguero just didn't have time to turn around.
It's the first time that I've seen Friuli go up the right side. If they were a bit smarter, they should have broke away a bit faster with the fullback getting cut up front. But
well,
that's
now
experience.
Now Friuli pushing men forward as they have a free kick at midfield, and the whole team is starting to push up past the center line now. It looks like Mauro Ongaro, number 7, is going to take the kick. And if Friuli have any kind of a system, this is where we may get an idea of what it is. Ball is kicked long into the corner, and no problem there for Yakumovsky to control it. There's a thumping shot out the back. This is Toronto Italia NSL Soccer on Rogers Toronto. We'll be right back after this. We have no score here between Italia and Friuli. I'm Ben Knight with Renato Ciolfi and Keith Pandowski, bringing you all the action from this first round NSL Cup match at Centennial Park in Etobicoke. Toronto Italia's next home game is Monday, May the 28th at 8 p.m. Italia back in league action against St. Catherine's Roma. So come on out Monday, May 28th and see that game, or if you can't make it out, we will have that game 1 week from right now on Rogers Toronto.
We may see the first goal, first shot on goal from far, I guess.
Well, Salvati now back there, and again Friuli. And of course, free kicks, if they're having trouble getting themselves established, running forward and getting a free kick is not a bad way, because from a set piece, you've got a better chance to catch Italia. That one caught, it looked like Salguero full in the face. And there's a nice ball down the wing to Grow if he can catch it, but it rolls out of bounds on the Friuli side. What about that in a situation like this? Going forward, trying to draw a foul on your man forward and getting a free kick that way.
Well, anytime that you're playing in the opposition's third, you're going to get your fouls. And if you're going to start scoring from set plays, 70% of the goals are scored from set plays. And set plays are very, very important.
But if you have to have them, and you have to work on them. And
there's no question, but you got to get to their own third. You're not going to score from about 40 or 50 yards out.
This is Dragan Yakimovsky.
I think the players during the break and at the end of the first half should take a look at the cleats they're using. I think there is a problem there, because they're just too many times they're just sliding on the grass.
Well, it's a very uneven surface. It's not particularly slippery under there, but it is very uneven. Now Carmen Grow. Back for Jordanovsky. Carlos Salguero tees one up off the crossbar. Fifth reacted well to it in the net, and the shot rang right off the crossbar.
That must have been a 40-yard rocket.
It was a good shot from the side, actually. It was a beautiful shot taken.
And here's the replay. We can see he's about there. He's about 15 yards away from the penalty area. And look at the shot, right on the crossbar.
But had it been a little lower, good reaction there from Hollis Fifth.
I don't think Fife touched it. That just hit the crossbar. And beautiful taken shot, but Fife should have followed that shot over the crossbar.
Yeah. He reacted well to it, though.
Exactly. But you got to get a piece of it. That's too close.
In the center now, Carmen Grow. And it comes back. Dragan Yakimovsky, watched closely there by Arcady. Nedev to Carlos Salguero, returning to Italia this year after a year with America United.
And he really looks like a brand new player. Keith, you've seen in action last year. And
yes, I did. And,
look at him now. I mean, he's...
Nice give and go there. Jordanovsky runs onto it. And Derek Buffa sees that into the corner.
I mean, Salguero's there to finish off the plays. I mean, he's not going to give you the 30, 40 yards runs, but he's going to give you that shot as we saw earlier.
Valente. Tried a fancy cross there.
Well, guys, we got to get some shots. My theory of coaching is 30 shots, 3 goals so far. Boy.
Well, Italia have tried a few outside ranges. They haven't, for all that they've been able to move the ball into the Friuli area, they have not really threatened Fife in the goal yet.
And if you remember, Baron, during the first half of the first game that we've televised, Italia seemed to have some of the same problems that we saw here during the first half.
Yeah, but that game, I think Renato it was up and down more or less, especially in the middle.
Jordanovsky now in the middle. Good ball to Valente. Saverio Valente on the edge of the box now. 2 players watching him. Puts on a good move, and finally Vian is able to get to it. It's a bit of a jostle there.
I'm really impressed with Luquez. He's been a rock there in the defense and also shooting up.
Luquez tried to sneak the kick in quickly there. And Salvati plays it up into the center, and once again, nobody home, and Italia able to control it. This looks like a dribbling exercise out there.
Now Italia's getting frustrated. As you could see the right fullback moving up, Neto. They got to get through this defense.
Well, again, there's a cross now. And Fife easily picks it up again. I'm thinking back to that St. Catherine's game last year where St. Catherine's just completely frustrated them. Italia's best chance was a shot off the crossbar in about the 3rd minute. I believe Orville Reynolds took the shot, and they never got back to it. They never got back in again, and the game ended in a scoreless tie.
That was a more physical game, as I recall it, Ben. St. Catherine's is a tough team, especially on the ground. I mean, they're not going to let you win too many balls on the ground. But here, we haven't seen nothing. I mean, follow the man, bunker.
Saverio Valente trying to find a way through. It's a good ball there for Jordanovsky. Turns it back into the center, and Cesario can't get at it. Hollis Fife out there to haul it in. That looked a little better.
Yes, yes.
Cesario was always there, following his instinct. But I think, going back to what you're saying, Keith, that Italia getting frustrated, I think that would be the worst mistake that Italia could make, sort of let its frustration take the best of it. You should just continue playing your game, never mind what the other team is doing, and just remain relaxed and calm.
I'm sure the coach between halves is going to have a little chat with him.
Coming up at halftime, Randy Andrejciu will be speaking to Nino Chiolpa, the coach of Toronto Virtus. Renato will be down there with Gino Barzula, the sponsor for Italia this year. And Randy Andrejciu and Keith Pandowski will review the highlights of the first half. That's all coming up at halftime here, and that's about 13.5 minutes away. Still no score between Italia and Friuli. Friuli trying to play the fortress game, and so far it's working just fine. Jordanovsky now. Back to Salguero, but a little bit behind him. Salguero controls and just misses on the far side.
And again, you saw him slipping there again, too, see?
Keith, why are Italia trying to be fancy? They've got a team here that are standing around and just trying to keep the ball out of the net. Why are they making the extra pass? Why aren't they just blasting the ball?
That's what I would do. I mean, anything around the 18-yard line, I would really take the shots, especially with Fife. I'm not saying that he's not playing his position as well as he should, especially on that shot from Seguero.
This style of play that Friuli is playing only works if you're not losing. If you get a goal past them, they're going to have to change, move people forward, and we all know what Italia can do if the other team starts playing forward.
Exactly. Well, we're not playing for a tie here. That's for sure. This is the first half. The game is a long way from over.
Well, I think sort of Friuli is trying to buy time for itself. This is their first game, so he says, hey, let's, try and hold on. Let's find out what we can do, and then, keep the guy off the score sheet, and then we'll worry about it.
Nothing like starting off with a televised game against the two-time defending champions. If you're, that's a rough start for a second division team, and so far they're holding their own. We now start to see the rain is beginning to fall quite hard out there. Keith, I've often believed that rain can be an equalizer in a game like this,
especially when the field is so heavy.
As that runs out, it'll be a throw-in for Italia, because it seems that the more skilled team, the more skilled the team is, the more it's hurt when the rain comes down. Whereas a team that is more towards the middle of the league doesn't seem to be affected quite as much.
Exactly, man.
Lucas, hooking shot, and Fife plays that one just fine, and up with a throw. And I like to see a goaltender using the throw, because I think you've got more control over it, and I think more often the throw winds up with one of your team, whereas if you kick it out towards center, it's a 50-50 ball.
Well, especially when you kick in a long kick from the goalie and no challenge from your own men to win the ball. So why kick it away? Try a shorter lob pass. It's really coming down now, Ben.
It is starting to rain pretty hard out there. And we have the migration of people under the press box well underway.
And they're lucky that the press box is long enough to accommodate them all.
Guys, we could see 5 or 6 goals on the second half if this rain keeps up, because any shot to the goal and go and pick up the garbage, as I would call it.
It's going to be a nightmare for the goalie with those slipping balls.
The players start to side now. Carmen Groh for Valente. Valente overruns it. There's nobody behind it. Cesario was committed further forward. Lucas tries to bottle it up, and it comes for Cesario. And just too many bodies. They got too fancy again, Keith.
Too fancy. Too fancy. Gotta get those shots.
And that one just rolls all the way through, and you can put a stopwatch on that one.
That's a shooting gallery. Anything around the 18-yard line should be a shot.
Yeah.
I think
Italia is trying to be a bit too fancy. I think they're trying to, for that last dribble, one too many.
I don't know why they're not trying a few give and goes or just straight. One guy runs in, passes it into the center, guy runs onto it and thumps it at the net. I don't know. That's not a very scientific terminology, but it's a very effective play.
Guys, this is the hardest team to play. This is the hardest system to play or penetrate. You got to try the short or the longs, and it's gonna come. It's gonna come.
And there's also the problem that that it's a team you don't know anything about,
exactly.
And there's always that little fear in the back of your mind when you're a first division team playing a second division team in the Cup that this might be the game that they're going to be talking about for the next few years.
Like I said before the game, you're gonna get up. You're gonna get up for the champion. So this is the game.
Yep.
You know?
And most of all, you don't want to look bad about it.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Luquez tries to find a way through there.
And look how Titus is just controlling that midfield. He's picking up.
Now Luquez again trying one of those runs. Still works the give and go with Salguero. He's in alone and the flag's up.
He's got so much room there, Renato.
Yeah.
Tight. So much room there. I mean, the midfield of Friuli is nowhere near him.
Look, they've got about 10 yards between himself and the next guy from Friuli.
Still no score here. 8.5 minutes to go in the first half here at Centennial Park. If you're interested in coming to Centennial Park to watch Toronto Italia play, it's easy to do. If you're driving, you come out to Highway 427 and get off at Rathburn Road westbound and just carry on past Renforth to Centennial Park, or you can come out by TTC, take the subway to Royal York Station and get the Anglesey bus. That's the number 2 bus from Royal York right out to Centennial Park. If you're driving, there's lots of parking here, and as always, it's free parking for everybody at Centennial Park.
Well, we're going to see a different game second half. There's no question. It's the first game against American United. There was 2 games, one first half, one second half, and I think that's what's going to happen in this game as well.
Well, we'll see. To give Friuli full credit, they have succeeded in getting most of the way to halftime in a goalless draw, and that must have been their first priority, is just not to have it, just to stay with them in the first half and then see what happens.
I'm sure.
You know, it's always amazing how Cup games and the regular league games become 2 different types of...
Especially when you're playing a second division team.
Now Vian tried to loop that in, and Italia recontrol, and Saverio Valente, and it's really raining hard now. Valente coming up across center. He's got Cesario. He plays for Salguero. And just ran too far for Valente. Fife
the ball
controlling.
The ball just ran away from Salguero here.
Horace Fife in goal for Friuli.
He was a goalie last year as well. They have 2 goalies that are that were with the Friuli team last year, and 5 got the starting line tonight.
This is Ilio Garo. And Jordanovsky just tried to thump it, and that's a very heavy ball out there now with the rain on it. And I think it was running a little far ahead of him for him to try that shot, Keith.
Especially on the outside of the foot. I mean, the ball was sliced. Wet shoes, wet ball. But look, any shot on goal, 24/8 that goalpost is, and you gotta hit it. You gotta hit it.
And the goaltender's what, about 6x2?
Yeah, I don't think Fife is that high. He looks like more 5'10".
Yep. Renato, how do you see Italia altering their game as
well, I
as
think
this
they
goes
have
on?
to, notwithstanding the short passing game, I think they have to speed it up a bit. They're sort of taking one unnecessary dribbling too much, one, attack against the defenders too much. They should just speed it up a bit.
Especially when you're playing against a team like Friuli. They haven't come up in your own zone, more or less. So why worry about it? I mean, they're not going to catch you napping. There's no way. I haven't seen a fast striker. I haven't seen a fast winger. I mean, there's nothing.
I think they're worrying a bit too much about protecting themselves, and you can see that on the fact that Yakimowski has...
Here's a good ball now on the side here. Luquez playing once again well forward from his fullback position. Back to Cesario off the side of his foot.
Why?
That was a miscue completely.
And
he had time too. He had time.
Time to stop it and thump it, and he had a lot of room, a lot of net to shoot at. Just a little too quick.
Yeah, I was saying before about Yakimowski. We haven't seen him on those forward runs too much.
Now it falls for Cesario, and it's there. There we have it. The ball just rolled back into the penalty area. Fife was committed to it, and Santo Cesario.
And that's the ironic goal that always 90% of the time kills you in these games like that. There it is. He's playing with the ball. He's a really weird-looking back pass, and Cesario's right there. And it happens over and over again. You kill yourself, you overwork yourself, and you protect yourself, and then at the end, it's a stupid mistake.
The back pass was ill-advised to begin with, Keith, and when it hit that player and took the deflection, it was fatal.
Yeah, well, the mistakes you're gonna make the mistakes, especially when you play in your own zone and you pass back, it's gonna hurt you.
Toronto Italia 1, Friuli 0, with about 4.5 minutes to go here in the first half at a rain-drenched Centennial Park.
You know, and that's the fundamental drawback of any type of defense like that you can defend yourself for 89 minutes, but you just need one silly mistake, and it's gonna kill you.
And now we will see. Now we will see how Friuli adapt to this. I suspect they'll make most of their changes, talking it over with the general manager Lorenzo Bulfon at halftime. But Italia are a team who, as we well know, like to get a second one as soon as they can after getting the first. And here's Jordanowski now in the corner. Good tackle there from number 2, Fernando Palazzo, and there has been some good tackling in the Friuli defense tonight.
Yeah, they've won a couple tackles, there's no question. I mean, you got to do something right, let's put it this way. And, but the goal, surprise. When you pass back, you got to make sure that who you're passing it back, especially when the goalie's playing back.
Now it comes in. Salguero beats everybody to that ball, gets tackled, and all he's going to get for, and all he's really going to get for that is conceding a goal kick.
And we are also getting a lot of rain.
It is really starting to spatter in here now. But I think we can make it to halftime before we float away here.
There we go again. Those high balls, no challenges, no Friuli player near within 10 feet of a Toronto Italia player.
And Cesario, the goal scorer, had a line on it there, but a nice slide tackle from Nick Greco took the ball out of bounds. Italia will set to throw it in.
And I guess at halftime we have to go and visit the rain in the field, right, Keith?
Yes, you got your coat, I guess, Renato.
Yes, indeed, the high-tech, glamorous world of TV and the outdoor interview in the rain, but it's all in the name of giving the National Soccer League the coverage it has for many years deserved, and which we are delighted to be able to give it here on Rogers Cable 10.
And of course, Ben would be more than delighted to take our place in the center field and do the interviews.
Saverio Valente. Well, I paid my dues in the Benfica game last year, doing a post-game interview with Tony Morrison in a sideways monsoon. Taking my jacket off to give to one of the camera people. I'm pleased to announce. Anyway, here we go now, back into the center. Friuli now trying to press forward. They've got some men up, but they've hurried the pass again, and no problem for Alexander Nedev to control.
Even with 3 players back, Toronto Italia, with Yakumovsky pushing up, as you could see now, no problem.
Goran Jordanowski. That'll be Nedev on the side. Foul called there. We're under 2 minutes to go here in the first half. Toronto Italia 1 and Friuli 0. This is the opening of the first round of the National Soccer League Cup for 1990. And Yakumovsky steps into that. 2 defenders go down. Yakumovsky is immediately there calling for help for the Friuli defender. This looks like a hockey game out here.
I think he got the ball right in the face, or
yeah, I think he did.
And he was only about 2-3 yards away, so with the full impact of the ball, I think it's...
Yakumovsky has just a booming shot out there.
He has a hard shot,
and
yes.
And as an old fullback who got hit in the head a few times, it's always that much worse when the ball's wet. It makes it a little heavier. It just makes it that much less pleasant. Not that it's particularly pleasant getting hit in the face with a soccer ball. But Yakumovsky, sportsman that he is, immediately calling for help for the player who got hit. And play is going to restart now with a drop ball. more and more like hockey as it comes to Valente. That's Arcady, who's been playing forward most of the half, playing up now. Closing moments here of the first half. And a goal by Sante Cesario.
You know, it's almost now, it's pointless for Friuli now to continue with this type of game plan that now they need a goal, so they can't protect anything because it's pointless to lose 1-0 or 10-0, so you're still losing.
But you do have to be careful. You have to pick your moment to move forward against Italia because they can really exploit that. Luquez. Nice pick there by Arcady to come up with the ball. Plays a good ball forward for Salvati, who gets taken down.
And that's the first dangerous move by Friuli. That was
very positive move there from Friuli. Now Italia coming back as Friuli stuck with about half the team forward on that. Bad ball down the wing, and Friuli are going to be able to control it.
But I don't think Luquez is going to pull that stunt anymore.
Well,
I mean, he was asking for it.
Exactly, especially when a fullback loses the ball in your own third, you're asking for trouble, and that's what happened.
We've been talking about what Friuli might do. Oh, and there we have it now. That is the whistle for halftime, and we are halfway through this cup match, and the score, Toronto Italia 1, Friuli 0, and we'll be back with our halftime show right after this.
This portion of Toronto Italia Soccer is brought to you in part by your local bottler of Coca-Cola Classic. You can't beat the real thing. Toronto Italia Soccer is also sponsored in part by Esso retailers and agents who are proud to be part of the soccer community in Canada. Esso, going that extra mile. Promotional considerations for this telecast have been provided by Corriere Canadese, Canada's first English-Italian daily newspaper and a voice for Southern Ontario's 650,000 Canadian Italians. This summer, Corriere Canadese features exclusive coverage of Italia 90. All the action, the excitement, the scores, highlights, and interviews in your World Cup News Center. Corriere Canadese, the newspaper for Canadians who take pride in their heritage.
Welcome back to a very soggy Centennial Stadium. Our score, Toronto Italia 1, Friuli no score. And now with me, Nino Chopa, head coach of Virtus in the second division. Nino, I know last year Virtus finished second from the bottom in Division 2. It was a tough year all around.
Yes, it was. Well, I came in during, halfway through the season, and the team was in a complete mess, so it was very hard to reorganize. So our main goal last year was just to finish the season.
Now this year, Virtus has gotten off to a relatively good start. In their first game, they drew 1-1 with Woodbridge.
Oh yes, we have a very young team this year, mainly under 21. And as a matter of fact, against Woodbridge, like we were the underdogs, but we came up with a very strong game effort, and they barely tied near the end.
Now let's talk a little bit about some of the new players that you have. I know the whole team has basically been turned around, and tell us what kind of style you expect the team to play.
Well, the style is according to the different games we're going to be playing. It's 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. That's the main style we will be having. And we have a few young, good players that they will be making the first team eventually. As a matter of fact, the two of them, they've been benched already on the first team, which is good for us. And we have two new goalies. Well, practically the whole team is new. We only kept 2 or 3 players from last year.
Nino, quickly your impressions of what you've seen from Friuli, a team in your second division in this first half.
Well, there's not much that you can see on a night like tonight. The impression is that they lack of resistance because apparently they haven't been training properly. And in time, they will come out as a strong team. They will.
Nino Chopa, head coach of Virtus, thank you very much for joining us. Good luck this year.
Thanks.
And now we're going to go to Renato Ciolpi. He's down by the field as we are, but with a little less shelter. Renato?
Thank you, Randy. And as you can see, we are right under the rain, and we're just about ready to extract $1,000 worth of sunshine. And here's the little boy picking up the ticket now, and the lucky guy is going to win $1,000. And what's the number? Okay, let me get the number here. Okay, where's the number here?
Number 11.
This is the number?
Yeah, 13, yeah.
Okay, number 13, 1-3.
Okay,
Number 13 has won just $1,000. Okay, now, Mr. Barzula, what gave you the idea of this $1,000 prize for every home game of Toronto, Italia?
I wanted the people coming to the ring to enjoy with Italian, and you know.
I'll tell you, this must be love of soccer, being here with all this rain.
Yes, sir. This is the way. $1,000 for everybody. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as we can see, we're trying to. Here's the winner coming up right now, and Mr. Barzula, how did you get involved with Toronto Italia and the sponsorship program?
I like the sport. I like the Italian. And I like to do the best.
And of course, it looks like that Toronto Italia and Barzula is going to be a winning combination.
Yes, sir. This is a good marriage with Italia and Barzula coffee. Ole, ole, Barzula cafe.
And as you can see here, notwithstanding the rain, the spirits are high, and we're just taking one more second to see if we can congratulate the winner who's just come up with $1,000. And I think right now the winner, just notwithstanding the fact that he's won $1,000, prefers to stay under the press box and stay cool. So, Randy, Keith, take it back. We're just soaked enough.
Thank you, Renato. Keith Pandowski, we came into this game expecting Friuli to try to slow things down against Toronto Italia, and for the most part in the first half, that seemed to be their plan of attack.
Well, it was. You could really tell in the first half that Friuli, this is their first real game, and when you're playing against last year's champions, the approach is to defend as much as you can and not to make a fool out of yourself. But look, I mean, give them credit. Give them credit. There's no question there.
Now, Friuli started the game well defensively, but Toronto Italia did have their chances. Carlos Aguero rang one off the post, and then at the 27-minute mark, he hit the crossbar.
Well, that was a good shot. That was a good shot. The shot was taken from about 23 yards from the right side, and Hollis Fife, the goalie, was playing it, but he didn't get a piece of it. Thank God it hit the crossbar. That was a well-taken shot.
Italia kept pressing, and then at the 40-minute mark, Santo Cesario capitalized on Friuli's only mistake of the first.
Well, when you're playing in your own zone and you played 40 minutes holding the champions and playing your own zone, it's hard. You're going to make mistakes, and when you make mistakes in your own third, especially the way the goal was scored, pass back from the midfield to either the fullback or the goalie, and without even watching where Santo Cesario was, and Santo Cesario just walked in and put the ball behind the net.
The rain is continuing to come down. We're looking for an even sloppier second half that may or may not play into the hands of Friuli.
Well, I just hope Friuli plays the same system, because if they don't, if they open up, which they have to, in cup play, a tie is good enough. You're getting a point type of thing. And it's not over, but you'll see a different game this half.
The score at the end of the first half, Toronto Italia 1, Friuli no score. We'll be back with the second half kickoff right after this.
For the fourth consecutive year, Rogers Toronto Cable 10 is proud to present in-depth coverage of one of Canada's most successful soccer teams, Toronto Italia. Currently both Ontario and Canadian champions of the National Soccer League, Toronto Italia play all their home games at Centennial Park Stadium, located near the intersections of Renforth Road and Rathburn Road in the city of Etobicoke. Italia's next home game is on Monday, May 28th at 8 o'clock versus St. Catharines, Roma.
On the AM dial is proud to support Toronto Italia Soccer and this telecast. Rocco Lofranco, owner of Toronto Italia, invites you to tune in to Chin 1540 AM every Thursday at 10 a.m. for the Rocco Lofranco All Soccer Show. Chin 1540 AM, international radio, serving the ethnic communities of Southern Ontario.
Monsoon season came early to Etobicoke this year as we kick off the second half of this match between Italia and Friuli. We got an incredible rainstorm blowing through here now. And Renato, you were down there on the sideline, and the grass is really slick, I would guess.
I'll tell you, it's a real mess, and I think it's going to affect the game.
Now Carmen Groh trying to center one in there to Salguero, and Fife picks that one up.
And see how the ball is slippery, and it just left the goalie's hands there. I think the rain and the wet fields are going to affect the game, and just hope that the players can control and stay on their feet.
All right, ball thumped ahead now as Italia turn it back the other way. There's a shot from Valente. He follows up his own rebound over the crossbar.
I think that mistake was too sure of scoring. But I think the rain and the wet grass, and that's the type of conclusion that gives you. And here's the replay, and we see Valente now setting up for the shot there, and he's controlling the ball, and there it is. The goalie just hits it right back to Valente, and Valente hits it from below the foot and just lifts up the ball.
Actually, he lost the footing there, Renato, I think.
Keith, Italia look like they want to get that second goal right away.
Oh, no. They'll be pressing. I mean, give Friuli credit on the first half. To hold him to 1-0, it's good credit.
This is Toronto Italia versus Friuli of the second division. As for the first time, the NSL Cup mixing the teams from the two divisions.
But I think, so far, the game can give Friuli a boost. I mean, this is their first game. So far, they've been holding their own, and Italia hasn't simply walked all over them, and it can be a boost.
Fernando brought his wife to this game tonight.
And that's Via number 4 trying to make a play through there.
Netta brought him down, I think. Free kick for Friuli here.
We are battling the rain up here in the press box as well as down on the field. And now Dragan Yakimovsky kicking the ball up for Italia, and this time and there we see how slippery the field is, and Italia break back now. Jordanovsky over center. He's got Salguero with him, plays it ahead. Salguero broken up nicely there by Nick Greco. Jordanovsky. Italia continuing to lead Friuli 1-0 here. In the second half, Friuli now with a throw-in. And I am ably assisted up here by my wonderful technical analysts Renato Ciolfi and Keith Pandowski. One for Reina. For the Italian to say he had a quiet first half would be an understatement. Dragan Yakimovsky. Yakimovsky up to Carmen Groh. Groh, watch carefully there, but gets the ball off. Jordanovsky in a shoving match with Palazzo. And that is whistled down. We have played 5 minutes of the second half here. Italia 1, Friuli 0. In the opener of the NSL Cup for 1990. It's a free kick. It falls for Carmen Groh. And again, we see some very physical defense. Saverio Valente now in the middle for Italia. Valente. Chip back, and once again, Jordanovsky, who's been a real ball hawk in the center there. And Italia pushing forward now, looking for that second goal. Falls for Valente. And it tries to work a give and go there with Salguero. And Friuli are able to play the ball back to Hollis Fife in the goal and take off the pressure. This is Carmelo Bruto, who is into the game now as a second half substitute. Up to Ongaro. Ongaro plays it back to Bruto. And A rather aimless pass back into the center there. And it's Jordanowski now breaking through. Jordanowski, and just gets by there. Fife a little late reacting. Jordanowski must have broken through about 4 defenders there. Trying to get a replay of this here. There we see the replay. He busts through there. Took on about 4 defenders. Put it off the post. And Friuli again showing they're having a little difficulty answering up to that challenge right down the middle from one player breaking in. We saw Salguero do that a couple of times in the first half. And Lucas, number 3, the new player, had some luck with that also. This is Alexander Nedev, back to Jordanowski. Jordanowski over here on the far side. It's Lucas. Lucas, a long shot, and Fife no problem with that. Carmen Groh arriving too late. Fife now thumping it back. No score, Italian Friuli. I'm Ben Knight. Now Carmen Groh, a good cross in the center, and it's almost headed in by a Friuli defender. We were mentioning that Friuli were not getting much height on the ball in their heading in the first half. They got plenty on that one, and it almost cost them an own goal.
Johnny! Johnny, what's the run? Hey! What's up? What's up? Raphael! Well done.
This is Jordanowski. Dragan Yakumovsky plays it through, and there was a foul there on... Just get the number. A foul there on Goran Jordanowski. It's played quickly into the center there. Back heel aim for Alexander Nedev. And Friuli now trying to break it back. Ball out on the sideline. Toronto Italia's next home game, Monday, May 28th. Italia will be back in league action. Their opponents will be St. Catharines Roma. And if you want to see that game live, it'll be Monday, May 28th at Centennial Park at 8 p.m. Or tune in 1 week from right now on Rogers, and we will have all the action here for you on the Toronto Italia NSL Soccer. Now here's a break back the other way. Arcady now controlling, trying to play it forward. And there's the best chance of the night. That was number 9, Garfield Blackwood, on to start the second half here. And Farina forced to make a save on it. Some difficulty covering, but Italia cleared the deep. Yeah, here it comes now. Play forward. This is Blackwood. And Farina almost caught too far from the post, but is able to cover, and Italia maintain the 1-0 lead. Now here's a ball played through to Arcady. He's around the goaltender. He's around. He's got support in front, and it's very coolly handled there. Alexander Nedev coming back out the other way. Italia breaking up again. Here's Dragan Yakumovsky in the middle, drawing 3 men to him, and it's cleared away there by number 13, Nick Greco, for Friuli. And Friuli still hanging on here. Getting a good counterattack going as they try to equalize here. Now in the NSL Cup, in the first round, ties are permissible. There will be no extra time in the event of a tie. No penalty kick shootout. This is a straight double round robin. There are 4 divisions.
Okay, JC, easy there.
And now we're getting set now for a goal kick for Friuli. Now Friuli. Kick up, headed on at center now, trying to find Arcadi. This is number 15, Carmelo Bruto. Bruto, a good move there. Plays it ahead for Palazzo. Back to Bruto. Some sustained attack now. Back here to Carmelo Bruto. And across there, aimed at nobody in particular, an Italian, no problem retrieving that. Jordanovsky now, sprinting back across center. Slide tackle doesn't slow him down. Over here to Valente. Saverio Valente. Picks it back up. Up on the wing now for Groh. Friuli control. That's Garfield Blackwood. But it gives it up to Salguero. You can see how slippery the pitch has got now as this rain continues to fall very heavily. And it'll be a throw-in for Italia on the far side. We have 33 minutes to go here in the second half. Toronto Italia leading Friuli 1-0 on a goal by Santo Cesario late in the first half. Italia very much the run of play over their second division opponents here. But in the past few minutes, Friuli have put a couple of attacks together. And it's not beyond question that they could catch Italia too far forward and equalize. Jordanovsky now. In the corner. And earns the throw-in for Italia, who are basically now moving everybody Derek Buffa for Friuli tried to kick it out of bounds, hit the referee. The linesman correctly decided that he was in fact out of bounds and awarded the throw-in. This is Friuli's first game of the season. They are one of the 7 teams in the second division of the National Soccer League, playing Italia here in cup competition. Nedev couldn't control that one, and now we get a break back. Arcadi looking for Blackwood in front of him. And Blackwood there, a rather comic running style as he tries to accelerate and keep his balance at the same time, and that'll tell you all you need to know about the playing conditions here.
I was just thinking that the rain has certainly sort of opened up the game and opened up the play. Both teams are really going at it, and Friuli, surprisingly, is sort of finding itself also and sort of fighting it out with Italia. You know, every action has a counter-action, and they're...
And here we go now, it falls now. Salguero trying to get there, and now it's Cesario. 3 men in the box there. Keith, let's see if you're back with us. Friuli had a promising attack going there for a moment a few minutes ago.
Actually, that was a good chance, Ben. But when I like to see Jakimovsky playing as a striker, and he's supposed to be the sweeper on the back. So very interesting tactics here. Italia is looking for the second goal. There's no question. It's a nice cross. Here's Jakimovsky. Oh, Salguero.
And Salguero's on it. Ball came across and Salguero puts it away, and Italia are up 2-0.
And sort of Italia never makes you get away with a mistake. I mean, they punish you immediately. And here's the replay thing coming up, and if we can get a hold of here of ours. And there's the ball just bouncing over, and Salguero is right on the spot there and picking it out.
Very opportunistic goal for Carlos Salguero. Keith?
Well, you could see the sweeper playing forward. The cross came to Jakimovsky, headed back, and Salguero finished it up.
And now we're going to have a substitution here. Number 16, Fernando Di Francesco is going into the game for Friuli. And we'll just check here and try to get the number of the man he's replacing. Number 16, Di Francesco, is in the game for Friuli. Now down 2, and Keith, I guess we're going to see them really try to open it up now. They've got to try to get a goal.
Well, they had one good chance, and they have to follow it with another, so it'll be interesting.
I think it's right now it's just a question of experience and being able to convert your opportunities in goals.
Exactly, but like I said earlier, when you see the sweeper have something to do with the second goal, I mean, it's good to see, but should never be. Should never be.
Now Carmen Groh. And again, we have players jamming up in the center. Groh comes up with it, lays it off for Saverio Valente. Valente, good ball up on the side here. Italia, that's Cesario, scored the first goal on the far side. Good long cross. Unsupported in the center, though, and finally blasted out of bounds by a Friuli defender, number 3, Derek Buffa.
And I would just wanted to comment on that beautiful move that Valente made on the center field. If there were young kids watching the game and you could just sort of remember that move, it was just, you know, perfect.
Carmen Groh tries a chop cross around behind there. And headed away by Giancarlo Lista for Friuli. Italia now into a 2-0 lead as we have about 28 minutes to go here in second half action at Centennial Park, Toronto Italia and Friuli.
And, you know, it's not simply a question of Italia speeding up its game, but also I think Friuli opening up. And once it started to open up, it started to create those spaces for Italia to follow in through. And here they go again, see?
And it falls back for Hollis Fife.
And Italia just loves that type of game plan, when you let them have some space and...
Gotta win those high balls, right? Gotta win those high balls. Oh.
This is Bruto, Carmelo Bruto. Good ball forward for Joe Arcadi. If he can control it on the slick turf now, he's caught up with it. He's got Blackwood in the center. Now it falls for DiFrancesco there, trying to make his first touch a goal. Keith, you've done lots of coaching. How do you tell a team to play when this much water gets on the field?
Well, you're trying to get into their third and around the 18-yard line, and any shot to the net, and have two guys picking up the garbage, because the goalie will give you a rebound. There's no question. But those shots got to be in net.
Now Yakimovsky and Groh get a little fancy on a give and go. Comes back here for Alexander Nedev.
There we go, right.
Nedev going around now. Taking on a defender. Nice back heel for Valente. Can't get anything on the cross. He's going to get another chance now. Plays it right through Vian. Comes across the center. Goalie dives for it. Nobody on the ball. And finally it falls for Dragan Yakimovsky. It's just too close to the net for him.
Incredibly.
It's just too close to the net for him.
Actually, he was off balance. He was falling back, and when he took that shot on the volley, it just went over the crossbar.
And of course, it's very difficult to get any kind of footing here. The rain continuing to fall very hard.
Here's the replay coming up, and a beautiful move by Valente. Look at that, over through the legs, and beautiful pass. And the ball just goes over everybody, and I think it gets over to Jardanowski, if I'm not mistaken. And he shoots, and the goalie makes a first save, and the ball comes back, and Yakimovsky is right there, and over the net it goes.
Lucky for the goalie. He was caught off guard, out of position, but it hit him.
I think it's sort of surprising the way we reacted to Yakimovsky sort of missing out the goal. That's how used we are to seeing him penetrate that defense and shoot for the net.
He has become a very lethal goal scorer, and he seems to enjoy it tremendously. I mean, I know everybody likes scoring goals, but Dragan really seems to take some satisfaction from it. Now it comes here to Bruto, Carmelo Bruto. And in the early going, the new players that Friuli put on are really giving them a spark here in the second half. They are number 9, Garfield Blackwood, who's running down this ball particularly. And we've seen some good build-up runs from Bruto. This is Carmelo Bruto. Slicing one across, headed away by Yakimovsky. Titus on it. There's a long ball fired down on the offside, and we will be right back with more exciting NSL Toronto Italia action right after this. Toronto Italia leading Friuli 2-0 here with 24 minutes to go in the second half of this cup match at Centennial Park. I'm Ben Knight with Renato Ciolfi and Keith Pandowski. And Keith, what do you think we're going to get here in the last few minutes of the game?
In the last 24 minutes or so, we're going to see a few more shots and a few more goals. That's for sure.
It's not going to be 2-0.
No, I'll guarantee you that.
Renato, what do you think?
I kind of agree. I think the rain and the wet field are just the perfect environment for a ball to slip through, and also both teams are playing really wide now. They're really sort of letting everything loose.
And again, there's that gaping gap in the middle that Friuli have not been able to cover. Just on their own side of the half line, Keith. Every ball that has gone in there tonight, Italia has come up with.
Yeah, they're winning everything.
You know, Keith, in a way I'm surprised that Friuli hasn't been taking a look at Titus more. I mean, he's been constantly free to check out the ball. There he is again. I mean, they're playing man-to-man, and they're letting Titus all alone.
That was a good ball through to Arcady, and Titus just ran right onto it.
Not only that, Blackwood here is supposed to be a speedster. He's a striker. I mean, anytime that you get a sweeper in your own 18-yard line, I mean, you should counter-attack on the middle.
This is Ongaro. Now, obviously, Friuli playing long balls, but the turf conditions affect the timing on that.
Exactly.
What do you as a coach suggest in a situation like that?
Well, then you play 3 or 4 touch to get in their own third. If a long ball's not going to win you, and it's a 50-50 ball, and the ball's going to slice, whether it be on the grass or on the air, and you try to play 3 or 4 touch and get into their own zone, get a shot away.
But if you do fire a long ball, do you try to give the person running onto it time to see a little extra room to see what the ball's going to do?
Exactly.
I think sort of Friuli has sort of to check down its the way it finalizes its plays. I think that's what they're lacking still, because in defense and the midfield, the conditions are there to develop a very good team.
Exactly. I feel sorry for the 5 guys in the defense. They're working hard. They're working hard.
Carlos Salguero tried to break through there and ran into 5 guys, and now Italia starting again as Titus plays it up. Beautiful back heel there from Valente to Cesario, and Cesario's in. He's beaten his man. He's got the shot. He had a man at the far post, played it right across the center. Very unlucky not to score there for Italia.
I think the ball just went through. It was too far ahead of Salguero, and it was just too far off the post. And it was just, I think maybe Cesario. What do you think, Keith? I think
it was a bad angle to shoot from. He didn't have much of an angle, but if he would have shot it,
we can see it. See, he's cutting in, and I think perhaps now he should have sort of passed it back a bit. But he tries to score.
The way he shot it on the inside of the foot, so it would curve away from the post. Where he shot it on the outside of the foot, it would have curved in more or less.
We have a player coming off for Friuli. Number 15, Bruto, who came on to start the second half. They've got the right number of people out there, so I think they may have just substituted a substitute. And I would think there'd have to be an injury involved there, because he's been one of their most effective players out there, Keith.
Yes.
Now Carmen Groh. Groh been on the ball all night, but Friuli have been able to keep him from doing any real damage to their chances here. Is Titus thumped away, and Friuli actually win a ball in the north part of their midfield as it comes now here for Blackwood. Garfield Blackwood, 2 men back covering, takes the ball into the corner to give his teammates a chance to catch up, and just too many bodies there for Italia. And Friuli, I think it also should be said, a little slow supporting him there.
Yeah, there's nobody around with him. There's nobody playing with him.
I think Friuli has a real difficulty in developing a striking situation. They lose themselves once they reach the penalty area of the other team.
Inside of 20 minutes to go here. This is Toronto Italia NSL Soccer on Rogers Toronto. And Italia leading 2-0 over Friuli in the first game of the National Soccer League Cup for 1990.
You realize that goal that Salguero scored is the first one this year, and Italia's already scored 11 goals, and that tells you something about the way Italia is able to shoot in the net with a variety. This is the 11th goal, and yet Salguero, who plays in the midfield, this is only his first goal.
Well, you could call him midfielder or striker. He's there to finish off those shots and get the shots on net.
Nedev plays it ahead for Goran Jordanovsky. The cross in on the side. Carmen Groh has a bit of a disagreement with the ankle of one of the Friuli players and gets up favoring his ankle a little bit. A corner kick is called. And it'll be number 12, Saverio Valente, who gives it to Nedev. Back to Valente. That's Ongaro controlling for Friuli. Thumps the ball long.
He's got completely free hand.
Now they're trying to move it ahead to Blackwood. Blackwood gets to it. He's breaking forward, just loses it. He's been running his heart out there, and it's very difficult in those conditions. He's slow getting up.
You know, but I want to compliment the referee, because this is a very difficult game to referee when the way the ball it is and the field. You cannot really tell sometimes if it's a foul on the players just slipping. And I think the referee overall is calling it right. I mean, and that's, you know, a compliment that we have to give him and recognize it. I think it's a very difficult game to call in that type of situation.
George Boddick doing a fine job out there calling this game.
As I could see from here, some of the guys are using multi-cleats, as they call them, and once those multi-cleats gets filled with grass and mud, you'll be sliding like skates. Yeah. I hope a few of the guys have the 6 studs, because this is the weather for the 6 studs here.
Well, we will find out. So what you're saying is this is where we really separate the 6 studs from the multi-cleats,
exactly,
right here.
Exactly,
yes,
exactly. The grass is kind of high at places, so the 6 studs, soggy feel, you need a little traction.
Hollis Fife in goal for Friuli. Throws it up on the side. Jordanovsky hops on it for Italia. Good ball ahead for Santi Cesario. Slows it down, plays a good ball in there, and there's a great save by Fife. Big rebound. No denying Saverio Valente on the rebound. Fife did everything he could. Toronto Italia 3, Friuli 0.
Well, same thing that I said earlier. You get those shots on net and you'll get the rebound, because the goalie's going to give you the rebound.
And
it's wet hands,
here's the
wet
replay
ball.
coming up, and look at the beautiful ball that comes through, and the shot, and Fife is perfect position to make the save, but of course the ball is so wet, and here comes Valente, and he just got the net and a powerful shot to go with it, and there it is.
Keith, the goalie, did everything he possibly could.
Hey, he did his job. I mean, he made the first save, but where were the fullbacks to clear that ball away?
Now, as it is now, there were some pretty bad collisions in there. Players slow getting up. Derek Buffa was slow getting up for Friuli. The goal scorer, Valente, took a bit of a knock as he scored that. We have 16 minutes to go here, and Italia now well in control. 3-0.
That goal is just sheer indication of the power and the technical abilities of the Italia players. All three of the players involved. Salguero with the beautiful pass on the side, Sante cutting in, and Valente right there. I mean, that's just perfect, you know, all 3 of them.
You'll get your rebounds. You'll get your rebounds. Get those shots on net, and like I says, it's very hard for Fife to smother the ball.
The rain out there has dropped to a steady torrent, as opposed to the... And Tony Morrison now is coming into the game for Italia. And that will give a little more spike to the Italia attack.
Actually, what I saw with Tony Morrison against America United, playing a little soccer, where last year Markovic played him as a speedster down the line and coming out from the second half. But the first game against America United, he really played some good touches.
Very well. One of the things I could never understand last year was, as we see now, Ongaro coming through for Friuli. It's by the goaltender, unable to hop on it, but the defense closes up. There's the shot. It hits a Friuli player. And a full-scale chaos breaking out in the Italia defense, but they managed to clear it. And there's a long thumping ball offside to Morrison.
I have to question that. The lineman was better positioned, but he wasn't even on the same line with the player. I really have to question. I think the lineman...
You know what the rule is, Renato? When the ball is kicked, not when it arrives, so I guess...
And those, of course, can be 2 completely different situations. I don't know what that was, but Anyway, no, one of the things I was saying is one of the things last year, Morrison was used often as the guy they expected to head down the ball in the middle. Now, Morrison's a very talented player, but he's also one of the smallest players out there. Last week we saw him serving up the crosses for the taller players to do, and he did a fine job of it. Now we have Jordanowski and number 6, Guido Geisler.
I think Morrison took the place of Sam Cesario. I don't see Santa in.
Santa's not out there. He's done his bit for tonight. He scored the first goal, gave Italia the lead just before halftime. The rain continuing to weaken a little bit here. It's still raining quite hard, though.
But I wanted to compliment Ongaro. That was a beautiful run that he did on Italia. Unfortunately, it's the only thing that we've seen him do tonight because the player is very talented, and I was expecting a bit more from him. But that run gave you an indication of the type of explosive power that he has.
Part of it, I think, Renato, is the kind of game Friuli's playing. I have seen Ongaro at the back quite a bit also here. Now Nedev. Alexander Nedev, basically unchallenged to Jordanowski. Jordanowski turns his man. Comes in again, puts it out front. Fife can't hold it. Falls for Carmen Groh, and it's just over the bar. Italia swarming in there. They know the ball's going to be difficult for the goaltender to handle. They figure if they can get one chance, they can get 3 or 4.
It's got to be a low shot. I mean, you think the ground. You're around the 6-box yard line there, and you got to keep those shots low.
Well, we got another player coming in.
And here's the replay coming up on, I think, Valente checking the ball. Fife making the save. Valente turns around and gives it to Carmen, and Carmen just...
Friuli now like making another move. Number 14, Alfie Tome, is going to come in. And by my count, they've now used all the players that they've brought with them. As number 14, Alfie Tome, comes in. And also... Yuri Skokan, number 14, coming in for Toronto, Italia. This is the first we've seen of Skokan. What do we know about him?
I think he's one of the group of, belongs from the Yugoslavian collection from the Toronto Italia players, and that's another one of the new people that Italia expects a lot from.
So we're coming into the closing minutes. Toronto Italia's next home game, Monday, May 28th at 8 p.m. at Centennial Park, Italia versus St. Catharines, Roma. And if you want to see that game, we're at Rathburn Road in Renforth. That's just west of Highway 427 on Rathburn, or you can come up on the number 2 Anglesey bus from Royal York Station. Now there's the ball falling beautifully for Jordanowski, and a nice save there, Fife standing in.
Yeah, that was a good save. Very difficult to make those saves, especially in turf, the traction.
And there's a flick now. Ongaro gets it on. Blackwood couldn't get to it.
We must say that Friuli's been quite unlucky, actually. They deserve at least a goal.
Yeah, they could have had a couple. They could have had a couple this half.
I can't help noticing, guys, that Farina still looks shaky in the Italian net. He was not confident last week, and he has not been sharp tonight. Now, admittedly, he hasn't been in the game very much, but what I've seen of him, he is definitely having his problems out there.
Well, part of the traction on the field as well, Ben. He was coming, and a little slip, and that's all it takes.
Nedev to Jordanowski, having trouble with the turf. Dribbles to the edge of the box now. Going to try to turn it in at the corner. Cleared away there by the Friuli defense. Played back for Jordanowski. This draws the Friuli defense out of the box. Trying to set an offside trap. Groh to no one in particular. Morrison caught in a nasty incident there caused by the slippery turf, and Friuli now trying to come back, Renato.
But Morrison was ever so quick there to try to steal the ball.
Good ball to Blackwood. Blasted out of bounds by Juan Farina. We've got a good finish coming up here. Stay with us. Lots of great National Soccer League to action coming up right after this.
This portion of Toronto Italia Soccer is brought to you in part by your local bottler of Coca-Cola Classic. You can't beat the real thing.
For the 4th consecutive year, Rogers Toronto Cable 10 is proud to present in-depth coverage of one of Canada's most successful soccer teams, Toronto Italia. Currently both Ontario and Canadian champions of the National Soccer League, Toronto Italia play all their home games at Centennial Park Stadium, located near the intersections of Renforth Road and Rathburn Road in the city of Etobicoke. Italia's next home game is on Monday, May 28th at 8 o'clock versus St. Catharines, Roma.
Italia had actually been playing a man short for a few minutes. They got caught on a substitution, and Alberto Colazzo in the number 13 shirt is now in there to bring them back up to full strength. So Friuli actually had a better chance there than we thought.
They didn't capitalize, though.
Under 10 minutes now. Toronto Italia 3 and Friuli 0. These teams are playing in a group in cup competition. As Farina can't control that, but it goes out of bounds. Playing in a group in cup competition with Hamilton White Eagles of the 2nd Division and the new 1st Division team Oshawa Italia. They will play a home-and-home round robin. That's 6 games, and the 1st and 2nd place teams will move on to following rounds of the cup. And we will be with Italia as far as they go in cup competition. Their next game is against Hamilton White Eagles. We will have that for you later on in our schedule.
You have to recognize, you have to give credit to Friuli. They're really pushing, and with any luck, they would have at least certainly 1 goal or possibly 2. And they really, have no shame in being down 3-0 because they've really been respectable and they've fought with Italia head-to-head.
Listen, when Italia plays America United 6-1 and here's 3-0 in the second half with 8.5 minutes to go, I mean, give credit to Friuli, there's no question.
And considering they're all local boys, extremely young, this is their first official game of the season. You have to give, every team a chance to sort of settle down.
As far as I know, there's not even 1 importer on Friuli.
Goran Jordanowski now is Italia. Looking for 1 more to finish off a fine night's work. Dragan Yakimovsky plays it to Groh. Carmen Groh across. Contained by Friuli and back to Hollis Fife in the goal.
I think, Keith, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think with Friuli, it's a case of starting to believe in oneself.
Exactly. They have a lot more chances this year, this half, I mean. This half, they really come off, like you said, 1 or 2 goals they should have, at least.
And certainly when Friuli begin their competition in the 2nd Division, they will be playing teams that are of a more equal caliber. They won't be trying to take down a 2-time champion like Italia.
Exactly.
2nd Division games very exciting in the NSL.
Shot. What's the shot? Outside.
There's a team in the 2nd Division called Brazil 87 I've seen a couple of times, and they are very enjoyable to watch.
As far as I know, they're bringing a couple more imports from Brazil, so they should be a powerhouse in the 2nd
Very
Division.
talented team. They play a lightning-fast game, and it's often the 2nd Division games are played before we play here in before Italia plays, and watching them play is just really enjoyable.
I also enjoyed watching the North York Strikers. They had an excellent team.
Yes.
North York Strikers.
And this year there's that extra incentive for 2nd Division teams as the 2nd Division champion, as it stands now, will be promoted to the 1st Division of the National Soccer League for next year, and it'll be interesting. Of course, the flip side of that is that somebody's got to go to make room for them, and we'll be keeping an eye on that as we go along too.
But I think that was long overdue, Keith. I mean, you have to develop a system of organized soccer. I mean, like the rest of the world.
You got something to shoot for,
6 minutes to go here. Toronto Italia well in control, up 3-0 over a very game Friuli side. Yakimovsky gets it through on the far side. Turned through. Goalie jumped over it, and Colazzo almost saved that. And that would have been about as open a goal as you can ever ask for.
Actually, both players backed out. One of them should have really gone for it. Would have had a nice cross anyway.
Well, sometimes you do get your signals crossed up there.
But that was a beautiful pass that Aguero initiated, and that's the whole beauty of soccer. I mean, you can just, the skills involved is just.
Valente in a bit of an ankle smash there with Alfie Tome. Also, to give Friuli credit, generally when you get a team in the underdog position in the cup, they can often come out and play a very negative kind of soccer with a lot of hard tackles, trying sometimes to injure the better players on the team. Friuli have not gone in for that at all today. They've just tried to play the best soccer game they can, and it reflects quite well on them. And there's a shot there for Tony Morrison, and rather well handled by Fife. And Hollis Fife's had some pretty nice moments back there, Keith.
Yes, actually, he smothered that ball because Carmen Grove was right there. Any rebound, Carmen should have had another goal there.
I think he's settled down the defense quite. I mean, he's been a very responsive goalkeeper, and I don't think the team, Friuli can look at its goalkeeper for being down 3-0. Actually, he saved quite a few.
Yakumovsky. Colazzo.
Give full credit to Friuli. In the first half, they were trying to defend against their 0-0, and they were completely involved in a defensive shell. And in the second half, they came out, as they were supposed to, and they really took it to Italia, and they played on an even level.
Jordanowski. Centered in now. And Dragan Yakumovsky picks it up on the other side. Plays it for Carmen Groh. Groh in the 7th shirt. It's broken up now. And Friuli now trying to mass an attack back in the other direction. Get a goal. Ongaro, man responsible for bringing it out, but Carmen Groh comes up with it in the middle. And again, Friuli, all kinds of trouble just in front of midfield. Ongaro seems hurt there, certainly very tired. The ball bounced near him and he didn't even go for it.
I think he twisted his knee or something on the last tackle.
Yeah.
And Nedev is going over to check on him, but the game goes on.
No shot, no shot.
Carmen Groh thumps a shot. And just wide, and we'll check now. Ongaro down on the, and they'll come in and they'll get some attention. Keith, one thing I wanted to talk to you about, of course, one of the things about the Cup is that it can be a showcase for teams that may not be having a good regular season, or maybe having that. Your own club, Macedonia, last year had problems in the regular season, but in the Cup, they put it together marvelously and went all the way to the final.
Well, this is the chance. If you don't do well in the league standings, you could get at top teams in the Cup. And we went to the final, actually. We didn't lose a game. We tied here 1-1, and we tied at Birchmount 2-2, but the goal's different. The away goals count for 2, so that's how we lost it.
And with Cup play, you have some great
Play tried to resume there. Just for a second, Renato. Play tried to resume there, and the injured player is still being taken off. I'm sorry, you were saying.
No, go ahead. I was just saying that you have some great examples of the way teams turn around their seasons to the Cup. This year in England with you had Crystal Palace and also with Oldham, I think, in the quarterfinals, and in the European circuit with Fiorentina, who had a very disastrous season in Italy. They almost risked relegation, and they went all the way to the final of the UEFA Cup.
And those of us who are in the profound minority of being Port Vale fans are still very happy about the win over Tottenham Hotspur 2 years ago. But as I say, we are a profound minority. There we go. Nedev up. And a bit of a rough tackle there, but the referee, again, realizing the conditions they're playing under, calling a very effective game tonight. We're in the last 2 minutes here. Italia will win this opening Cup match. They're leading 3-0 at the moment. Alexander Nedev.
What's outside?
Back to Skokan. Yuri Skokan playing his first game for the club. Try to pass for Valente, and there's just no way you can be that subtle when the field is this wet.
I think you just play along and just look at the watch and wait till the end comes.
It's been a game that has been played in heavy rain since late in the first half.
But I think that Friuli can look back at this game, and they certainly can learn a lot of it and build something good out of it for their own season.
No, nothing to be ashamed of. They've come here, they've played soccer's to their ability, and
remember,
they'll do well.
Yeah, and remember, gents, 2 teams will advance from each group.
Exactly. So don't count them out yet.
What's the shot? Okay, JC, I got it. Look, guys, come on, look.
Morrison for Jordanowski, tees it up, and it's in. Tony Morrison ran it in from the corner, teed it up for Jordanowski. Jordanowski gets out the 3-wood, puts it in the top corner, no problem.
Ben, no comment needed. I mean, you just look at it, and there it is. Morrison just spots Jordanowski, and he lines it up And it's a perfect shot right over there in the 7, between the crossbar and the post.
Fife had the line on it. There was just nowhere to go. A beautiful goal. Goran Jordanovsky. Toronto Italia 4. Friuli 0.
And Yakimowski now is the leading goal scorer of Toronto Italia, together with Sante Cesario.
The goal was announced as 79 minutes. It was, of course, 89 minutes. And there's the final whistle. Friuli, a game effort, but Toronto Italia victorious here in the first game of the 1990 NSL Cup, 4-0 over Friuli. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this.
This portion of Toronto Italia Soccer is brought to you in part by your local bottler of Coca-Cola Classic. You can't beat the real thing.
Welcome back. With me now, Carlos Sarguero. Tonight, a center forward for Toronto Italia. Carlos, you've got to be happy with the team's play this evening.
Well, for sure. Today we play a special second half. We play better soccer, and the first half was a little, you know, they was running and put a lot of pressure, and our midfield was a little slow to play the ball, but the second half, we talk a little bit inside the locker room, and we come up with, you know, a good score and play a little simple, you know, all the time, and the right side and the left side, and we get a lot of chances to score goals.
Now, you talked about making some adjustments at the half. Last week against America United, you went in tied 1-1. You came out and ended up burying them 6-1. Now, much like that game, in this game, you came out very strong in the second half, and you scored to make the score 2-0. Tell us about that goal.
Well, I can tell about all the time we have a little trouble in the first half, because everything waiting for us. They know we have a good skill and fast forward, so you know, they waiting, and when we score one goal, we can score a couple more, you know, so it's much easier in the second half.
Now, the team has gotten off to a great start, 2-0 in league play, 1-0 after tonight's Cup game. Last year, you played for America United, though you've come back now, and your scoring has certainly bolstered the Italia lineup. What brought you back?
Well, first, last year was a little disappointment for me, and I wasn't in good shape, but this year I was talking to Rocco Franco, and also the coach talked to me, so I prepared myself much better. I practice very good, and I take care of my body better, and you know, and all the time Toronto Italia is my home team, so you know, I gotta play for Toronto Italia. It's one of the best team in Canada.
Now, Italia, you say, is your home team. You've had 3 games now to play with these new teammates, many of them new for you. What do you see happening? Is this Italia team strong enough to win both the league and possibly the 1990 NSL Cup Championship?
Well, it's kind of hard, you know, when you bring a lot of players, new players, like, you know, we brought 4 or 5 guys, plus I come back, but I know Sante, I know Ricky, I know Carmine, I know Goran, Dragan, and Sasha, and the other guys, they start get together, you know, and we start play a little better soccer.
Carlos, congratulations on a great evening this evening, and good luck the rest of the season.
Well, thank you very much.
Carlos Sargueo, star for Toronto Italia. And now let's go to Ben, Renato, and Keith for their final thoughts on tonight's game.
Okay, thanks, Randy. Well, we're running out of places to hide from the rain here at Centennial Park. Nowhere to hide for the players, though, and Italia came up with a fine effort anyway, winning 4-0 over Friuli.
I think Italia had a very good game. Friuli, I mean, give them a very good game. Friuli appears to be a very nice, young, upcoming team. They still have a few problems to work out, particularly on the forward line. They seem to get lost a bit. They don't know how to finalize the actions that they start in midfield. Italia, on the other hand, if you give them a chance, they punish you, and they punish you severely. And we've seen them basically with all 4 goals. That you know, it was a chance that developed there, and they took advantage of it.
Friuli, though, hung in there. They never tried any negative soccer, and I think generally their performance was a pretty good ad for the second division of the NSL.
Oh, yes, you have to give them credit. 2 things that you have to keep in mind fundamentally. This was the 3rd game for Toronto Italia, which is an excellent team all by itself. Friuli, this was their first game of the season. They're all very young. They haven't played much together, I mean, this season. So considering those 2 things, you have to, you know, give them full marks. I mean, 4-0, it looks worse than it would actually should on the field.
Okay, well, that's this week. Next week, Italia return to league action against St. Catharines Roma. And Keith, I want to bring you in here. St. Catharines, a team that had a lot of trouble in the start of last year, but they were bringing it together towards the end. What kind of team are they going to be bringing in here next week?
Actually, they finished on the bottom of the league last year with 6 points. They're not as bad as they finished last year. I saw them first game against First Portuguese this year, the first game, and they had a super game. They beat the First Portuguese. They've improved the midfield. It's the same goalkeeper from last year. The coach is same, but they play a physical game. The game that I saw against First Portuguese, these guys go on a 50-50 ball to win with one idea, to win the ball. And very, very physical team. If any indication is for this year, going to be physical. They're going to be hard to beat in St. Catharines in even away games.
Now, a team that charges so hard for 50-50 balls, I guess they're thinking that maybe we're not going to get the number of chances that the other team is going to get, so when the ball does fall anywhere near us, we've got to make sure we get on that ball.
Well, when you get a smaller team or not as physical team like Penn Hellenic, First Portuguese, they're not a very physical team, and you play a physical game against them, it's going to take their toll. I mean, when we played them last year in St. Catharines, we had 1 broken leg and separated shoulders in St. Catharines. But those guys are physical. They play a tough game. They've improved the midfield, as I could see, and they're going to be tough to beat next week.
So that's going to be a good, tough game for Italia next week. If you want to see that game live, it will be Monday, May 28th here at Centennial Park, preferably with not so much rain on it, at 8 p.m., or you can watch it 1 week from right now on Rogers Cable. We will have that for you as our Toronto Italia game of the week. Keith Bandowski, Renato Ciolfi, thank you very much for your comments tonight. And now back to Randy to close it up.
Thank you, Ben. With me now, Joe Malazzi, General Manager of Toronto Italia. And Joe, if the weather keeps up, any thoughts of forming a Toronto Italia swim club?
I hope it's going to stop because we need the spectators, and this team need a lot of crowds because with the kind of players we have, they will play a better game if we have more spectators. I hope this is going to stop, this weather.
Now, this game was rescheduled originally. Just bad luck, though, in picking tonight.
Yeah, I picked July the 19th, but somebody went above me and changed it. I think that was a boo-boo from our president.
Well, we'll have to deal with that at a later date. Right now, you have to be pleased with the way your club has played. They got off to a quick start this year. They've defeated America United 6-1. Then they defeated London City 3-1 in league play. And tonight, they got off to a great start in 1990.